The last thing in the world that Esther and Catherine wanted was to have to work together. But they both sat on the board of the local community center, and when the community center president ended the meeting by saying, well, Esther and Catherine, you both seem to have opinions on the front foyer floor, so you're the new front foyer floor committee. We hope we get a report next month. Adjourned. Esther wondered if the utter terror was showing on her face. Catherine thought, oh God, I have to work with a denim-covered chatty cow. Now, even though these women lived in the same community, served on a lot of the same committees, their children went to the same high school, Esther had never been able to have a full-on conversation with Catherine. One time they were actually in the same hardware store, and Esther ducked down an aisle and hid under the tarps just to avoid her. Her conversation with herself went something like this. Oh my God, why do I feel like a stupid cow around that woman? I mean, a stupid cow does not send 2 sons to Ivy League colleges and the third one wins a National Merit Scholarship. A stupid cow is not taking master's degree classes at Brandeis in social work. No. A stupid cow does not keep the books for her husband's dentistry pact. God, if I bumped her, I could break her in half. I mean, what if I actually like knocked her over? I'm not that coordinated. I could flatten her. She'd look like a cartoon character. I could just see the newspaper. Local femme fatale flattened by elephant woman. I'd go to court on obesity abuse charges. I am being crazy. I'm being crazy. I'm being crazy. Okay, a little pinhole of sanity. She is a woman like any other woman. She has problems, and oh God, she weighs less than my arm. Now, Esther might have been a little paranoid, but she wasn't completely crazy, because at the beginning of the meeting, when the bowl of Dunkin' Munchkins were going around, and Esther was counting the most anyone took so she could be at the high end without being over the top, Catherine was carefully watching, and when it came to her, she held up an arm so that Marcia on one side was forced to pass them to Abe on the other. God forbid deep fried sugared starch touch her dual-colored lips. And her beautiful gray eyes, made even more beautiful and larger by the sunken cheeks and the perfectly applied makeup, did shoot little darts of criticism into every woman whose hand touched the inside of that basket. Don't they know that deep fried sugared starch is the devil's work? Women, they're just different rules for women. We cannot do what men do. Oh God, and now I have to serve on another committee. Well, Mother will be thrilled. It'll raise my cachet in the community. I can screw up something else. Doesn't he know how busy I am raising 2 teenage daughters completely by myself, running an entire design business, and now I have to work with chatty Cathy denim-covered cow. Oh God, I am a bitch. Oh well. And she flung her frosted hair over her silk scarf and said, might as well deal with this now. Esther, it looks like it's up to us to make this place trend-setting. Well, I think what they're looking for is more of a good, sturdy foyer floor. Well, maybe that's why more people don't join the community center. If it had a little panache, how do you want to deal with this? Well, I have a brother-in-law. Oh my God, she's going to tell me the story of her life and her family. I know it. I've got to cut this short. Oh my God, why do I always feel stupid and run on every time I talk to this woman? My brother-in-law owns a a flooring place. Why don't you get 2 quotes, 2 samples? We'll call each other and compare a couple days before. I've got to run, and I mean run. I had to eat lunch today. I never eat lunch. I feel like a balloon ready to burst. If I don't run my 3 miles tonight, I'm dead in the water. And she was gone. Now that was more than Catherine usually would have shared with people, but for Esther she felt it was like a public service announcement. Now as they drove home, each woman wondered who they could talk to about how uncomfortable they were regarding working with each other. Oh, look who called. Maybe I could talk to my oldest daughter. I mean, I know fat is not contagious. It's just... Now, Catherine had 2 daughters. They were both in the full metal jacket of adolescence. Now, the oldest one, a senior at the high school, she maintained the family tradition of the grandmother and the mother having a beautiful, thin, lithe figure, which she did maintain through rigorous self-denial, and when that didn't work, puking. She just discovered through a website it was also called purging. She liked that much better. I'm purging the evils from my body. Her second daughter, a sophomore, had just gotten an outstanding new haircut, a mohawk. She dyed the central artery bright orange. She was the goalie for the girls' lacrosse team and used to torture her mother and sister by eating Reese's peanut butter cups in front of them. Catherine's mother, the grande dame of the town, used to say, "Catherine, you've got to do something about that girl. She's going to be shunned by her peers, and chubby girls are not happy girls." Now Taylor, the sophomore daughter, she wasn't chubby. She was sturdy. She was an athlete, but compared to the mother, grandmother, and sister, she looked like a female Fort Knox. And so Catherine did what she thought was right. Honey, it's not just the weight, though it is terrible on your joints, but you could at least dress in a slimming way. Slimming, Mom? And she grabbed her shirt collar, ripped it all the way down and said, "Is that slimming enough for you, Mom?" Taylor's my troubled daughter. But maybe I could talk to the older one. No. God, the therapist said, "Do not tell your children your troubles. It parentifies them." I'll run. I can run it out with the sweat. Now, Esther, for her part, was no happier. Oh, God, I don't want to work with that woman. I want a Baconator from Wendy's. I mean, it's not kosher, I know, but oh, my God, it's such a good combination of food. And the way the cheese and the bacon and the meat, and it smells so good. And she hadn't been able to eat like this at home for a while, since she started gaining weight and her family worried about her. The son who had just won the National Merit Scholarship, he was a senior this year, and he had just a little bit of Asperger's, and she worried so much about him making good friends. He was sweet as the day was long. The other day, he'd been walking across the kitchen. Now, usually the kid is as tidy as an ant preparing for the winter. But on this day, he accidentally dropped some papers. "Oh, Mom! Oh, look at this. What a coincidence, Mom. We just got this in health class. We were discussing how overweight can sometimes turn into diabetes. You just might be interested." Oh, God, he's such a sweet boy. I want the fries. They're crispy on the outside, and the salty and the warm inside. They go so good with the Baconator, and I can make them last a long time, but you got to eat them pretty fast or the crispiness leaves. About 2 years ago, her husband had said to her, "Essie, I love you. If you want to lose the weight, I'll support you, but I can't listen to you be cruel to yourself about it anymore. So lose it or love who you are, but please, please don't berate yourself in front of me about it." Oh, God. A Frosty. You know, the Frosties are so wonderful, and if you get a really large one, you can like suck up the ice creamy thing to the top of the straw, and then you can take the straw out and suck it out of the bottom. It makes it last forever. And without remembering having made a single turn or actually uttering a word, suddenly a large bag was being passed out through a takeout window. Oh, God. The parking lot. I can eat it in the... A few weeks later. Oh. Hello? Oh, Bill! Bill, you're calling me from the office. Did they run out of donuts at Dunkin's? Catherine always flirted with Bill Merrill, the local newly divorced police chief, when she went in for her daily double espresso at Dunkin' Donuts. No cream, no sugar, thank you very much. Even though her mother said he's common, she thought he was sweet and liked him. So, to what do I owe the honor of a daytime phone call? What? No. Oh, God, she's really upped the ante, hasn't she? It used to be just the vice principal's office. What happened? Oh, God, no, Bill. No, I don't know where any drugs come from. Oh, God, are you going to book and arrest her? Or arrest and book her, whatever order you do that in? Oh, God. Oh, Bill, you are a honey. I think community service is perfect. Oh, Bill, I'm going to ask you to do me a huge favor. Is there a way that you could keep this out of the town log in the newspaper? It's just my mother. If my mother finds out, she'll say Taylor is drug addicted. I know it's just one reefer. But my mother will think it's drug addiction, and she'll have 3 rehab centers researched and her trajectory. And you know my mother. She's on the police oversight committee. Oh, Bill, I love you. I owe you big time. And I hope you collect. Who was with her? Oh, come on, juvenile schmovenile. The kid probably dragged her into the woods and lit her up. National Merit Scholar, huh? Oh, tutors kids in the ghetto. Well, that's probably where he scored, Bill. All right. No, you know what? I was just on my way out to my power yoga class. Let her sweat it out there for an hour and a half and try to put the fear of God in her. She won't listen to anything I say to her. Now, during this time, Esther had been taking her in-laws to doctor's appointments, delivering Meals on Wheels, running errands for both the synagogue and the school. So when she got home and found a message on the machine from the local police chief, hello, is this Mr. Merrill? Yes, this is Esther. Michael, oh my God, is he okay? My Michael? Are you sure? Are you going to arrest and charge him? No, it's definitely a first offense. No. Oh, that is very kind of you. Community service is a wonderful idea. Then they can put time in, and he'll see there's a result for bad behavior. No, thank you. I will come down and get him right away. And Esther could hold it in for about 4 minutes. Marijuana? Oh, honey, you finally rebelled. I'm so proud of you. Oh, God, and it's what? I mean, God, you could have done something really dangerous like heroin or angel dust or football. Marijuana, please. Well, you'll eat too many M&Ms. Okay, I better get on my serious game face. Drugs are serious. Okay. Now, Esther got out of the car, and she was at the police lot, and she saw Catherine pull up, and it took her maybe 20 seconds to put it together. Because Michael had talked about this kid that he'd met on Team Harmony at the high school, and he really liked her. He said she was fierce and had this orange mohawk and was very athletic, and she had the same name as Catherine, but since they had nothing in common, Esther didn't think. Catherine? Hello, Catherine. Now, despite a straight hour and 20 minutes of warriors, downward dogs, and odd inversions, Catherine had never really reached a yogic state of mind. I'm gonna kill her. I can't believe, I mean, what if my clients find out? All my clients are local and my daughter uses drugs. My mother finds out I'm dead in the wall. I mean, Catherine. Hello, Catherine. Oh, and she's doing this just to piss me off. It's a felony. I mean, if somebody reports it, she'll never get into college. Hey, Catherine, I mean, Esther, what are you doing here? Catherine, are you here to pick up your daughter? Why do you want to know? Because I'm here to pick up my son. And a vein in Catherine's left temple started to pulse. And she began to list to the left. And Esther quickly gathered her up and sort of duck-walked her to a bench in front of the police station. Now, she had seen low blood sugar and near starvation in the 70s when she worked in the Peace Corps, but never before self-induced. She ran to her car and went to that compartment between the two seats where you keep the maps, and under them she always kept some Trader Joe's strawberry bars. God forbid you should be in an emergency. Rips them open, and when she holds it out, Catherine looks at it like it's a scorpion ready to bite. And so with all the gravitas of a woman that has raised 3 teenagers, Esther says, Catherine, eat it now. And tears started pouring out. Well, Esther put one arm around her, and at first she tightened up like an electric wire, but then relaxed and started heaving and weeping. And And Esther put both arms around her. And if you could have seen the inside of Catherine's thought process, this is what was going on. I ate carbs! I have no control. I have no control over what I put in my mouth. I have no control over my daughter. I have no control over my mother. I have no control over my job. I have no control over my life. That's okay. God, she takes marijuana seriously. And when her tears, like a sudden storm, finally receded, Catherine realized she was also crying because someone was willing to hold her. She pulled out her compact, put her face back together, nodded to Esther, and the two women went to collect their progeny in the police station. Well, Michael and Taylor would be the Newtown beautification team. They would be cleaning streets and sidewalks every Monday and Thursday for 3 months. And so the women saw a lot of each other, dropping the kids off, taking them to the police station to mark off their hours. And from this, there was a subtle shift so that they could actually just look at each other now, have light conversation, schmooze a little. And it was a few days before the next meeting that, hello, hello, is this the proud mother of the town's newest gratis employee? Oh, God, Esther, I wish I had your levity about this, but I don't see anything funny about it. And, you know, I have to tell you, Taylor is not remorseful one little bit. All she does is push, push, push. Listen, you know, Michael says to me that she's funny and she's smart, and funny and smart. Well, she is funny and smart, I'll give her that. My mother was over the other day. Now, my mother's the bitch that gives other bitches bitch lessons. And I moved heaven and earth to keep her from knowing about this. And so Taylor walks into the room where we're having tea and she says, Grammy, I got busted for dope. Oh my God, you had to see my mother's eyes. I mean, they got bigger than saucepans. And then she goes on and says, but Grandma, through community service, I have realized the error of my ways. Do you think it's too late for me to have a coming out party? Irony is wasted on my mother, but I almost laughed out loud. You see, she is funny, she is smart, and she understands people. You don't have to worry about her. Oh, come on, Esther, let's face it. Funny and smart is okay, especially if you're a man. But if you're a woman, you have to be pretty. You know that. It's the only way you have entree into places. I mean, or at least well-groomed. Otherwise, and Esther split into 3 women who all started to scream silently at Catherine through the phone. Woman 1 was her politically correct self. How can you objectify your own daughter like a character on Mad Men? Esther 2 was a nurturer. Why don't you just love who that girl really is? Esther 3 was the shame-filled self-hating Esther. She's absolutely right. If I looked like I do now 29 years ago, I wouldn't have the world's most wonderful husband and 3 incredible sons. I don't know how he could stand to touch me anymore. I can't stand to touch me. Social worker Esther had to take over. Girls, we'll talk about this later. We have a phone call to finish. Catherine, don't you think it's just Taylor's way of rebelling? Oh, God, rebelling from what? Catherine, you might be the most perfect woman on the face of the planet. I mean, you could be a cover girl on Cosmopolitan. You run a big, impressive business all by yourself. You give back. You're on committees in the community. Oh, God, Esther. Who are you talking about? I mean, I'm on those committees because it makes my mother happy. And it's a way to meet eligible men. Oh, God. And it's my client base. Look, nobody gives unless they're getting something. What do you get, Esther? You give all the time. And the business has all the same failures I do. I'm bad at bookkeeping. I'm bad at promotion. And beautiful. God. Esther, what rose-colored glasses are you looking at me through? I mean, maybe I just dress well and you don't see the lobs of fat around my stomach and sides. You don't see the thighs. I've got to give up those power shakes at lunch. And Esther got it. She's nuts. She's anorexically nuts. She's a human being. My God, maybe I could like her. Catherine, listen, tomorrow when we drop the kids off for their beautification work, want to have coffee? We could finish the talk about the flooring, and if you like, we could continue this conversation, and you don't have to say yes. Yes. This story has 3 potential endings. Ending 1, Catherine blows Esther off. She continues in the patterns she's made for herself all her life, and she and her older daughter end up as the cover girls on the Anorexia Bulimia Society newsletter. Her youngest daughter moves to Colorado, becomes a radical lesbian anarchist in a commune. And Esther continues to eat until she gets diabetes, and then eventually loses her knees, and lives a shortened life in a wheelchair. Ending 2. They both get it that they have an unhealthy relationship to food. So they get professional help, good professional help. And they come to understand why they do what they do. And they learn strategies to change it. But you know, without a support structure, those strategies are like a ball in a roulette wheel. And you end up at ending 1. Or maybe ending 3. That one coffee turns into 2, 4, 8, and they start to meet all the time and tell each other everything until there's enough trust that they hold up mirrors so that the other one can see what they look and act like in this world, and they commit to small, doable changes. I'm only going to exercise twice a day. Starting to eat lunch. I am really going to try to get to know my daughters for who they are. And when I hate myself so much that I think the only way to deal with it is to run 6 more miles, I'm going to call my good friend, Esther. When I have to eat everything in a 400-mile radius, I'm going to wait 4 full minutes. 4 minutes. And then if I still have to eat, I'm going to start with vegetable sticks. I joined a gym. I'm only going once a week, but I'll up the ante. I'm learning to say no to people. And when I feel that the only way to nurture myself is a pint of Ben & Jerry's Coffee Heath Bar, instead, I'm going to call my good friend, Catherine. And Michael invited Taylor to the senior prom. And so that they'd be a perfect match set, he rented for himself a bright orange tuxedo jacket. Bye, kids. Have fun.